about the exercise regarding the hypothesis testing using the Z test and also the T test. So the differences about the Z test and the T test is about the standard deviations and also the sigma that being used. For the Z test, we are using the sigma. For the standardized T test, we are going to use the S. The S is actually same also lah, CCM PY from the data. Okay, this is the example of your data. You got the mu is equal to 60 and then it's not equal to the 60. It's just straightforward one. So you must familiar with the 5 steps of hypothesis testing. So the first one, you need to establish your null and alternative hypothesis, and then the next one will be the alpha. So based on this data, we are estimating the alpha is equal to 0.05. So you need to look into the hypothesis alternative, whether the hypothesis alternative is directional hypothesis or non-directional hypothesis. So based on this is a non-directional hypothesis. So therefore, you need to divide your alpha value into 2. Because we want to estimate the both of the regions on the left and the right sides of it. So you got the 0.025. 0.05 divided by 2 is 0.025. 0.025, and at one end is actually the values of their area kan. Dia punya luas antara area. So if you want to estimate, the remaining of course will be the 0.475. So 0.475 is equal to 1.96. Betul tak? 1.96 is actually your critical values or your critical regions of rejection. Whether your calculated values is more than or less than these values. So using the formula given, so you are going to estimate the Z statistic. So the Z statistic is equal to x bar minus the mu divided by the sigma divided by the square root of n. Square root of n is equal to your sample size lah, sample size of your population. So your sigma will be the standard deviation, and then your mu will be the standardized mean, and then your x bar is your mean that you calculated using your data, your data you collect, and then you compare with the standardized, and then you got something lah. So based on this data, you got the minus 5.40, which is more beyond under the area under curve lah, under the rejection regions of our hypothesis. So therefore, you reject the null hypothesis, and then you can conclude there is a significant difference between the values that you calculated based on the mean of the standardized samples with the standards lah. So our standards will be the 60 in this case. So therefore, we got some ideas that our values is significantly differ with the standards that we proposed just now. Okay, similarly goes to this one, but this one, remember, this one is using the directional hypothesis. So if they are using the directional hypothesis, focusing on the alpha here, and then no need to divide by 2. Why? Because we just only focus on one end, one region. So based on this one region, we can establish the value is equal to 1.88. So our calculated values will be the minus 19.90. So this is far well beyond under area under curve, and we can make judgments for the rejection null hypothesis, and therefore we conclude there is a significant difference between the values that we get, values that we collect in the samples with our standardized mean. Standardized mean ni usually given by the authority lah. Sama ada you tengok daripada previous research ataupun you calculate ataupun you estimate accordingly based on given one lah. Tengok daripada research ke apa, kita boleh nampak certain values that suggesting some mean, and then we compare that particular mean. Okay, similarly goes to this sample 56 telah dipilih, mean sample 25 sampai 7, jalan probabilities, which is they are given lah. Okay, I skip this one, I skip this one. Okay, this one also is given, so this one is directional hypothesis. Be sure that you look into the alpha value, whether the alpha value is more than or less than, or make sure you understand the alpha value, whether you want to divide by 2 or not divided by 2. Why this thing happening? This is happening based on the directions of the hypothesis that we trying to establish. Okay, we took one examples of this data. For example, satu kajian. So when you say the satu kajian telah dibuat oleh pengguna, so that's mean it giving you some insight ideas that the first mentioning items is all about the standardized. Faham tak? The standard mean that you need to compare with. For example, in this case, we need to compare with 21. So 21 is actually your null. Your null is equal to 21. So we want to estimate something. So therefore, if you look into this, satu sampel 80 pelatih telah diambil menunjuk purata. So this one is actually your samples that you calculated based on yourself. You are collecting some things, and then you got based on your collections of 60 or 80 people. So you got the standard deviations of this, you got the mean of this, and then you need to compare with the standard by the national survey, for example. So the national survey estimate 21. So you are going to estimate whether it's more or less than 21, right? So we are usually use like this lah. So you must be careful whether kita nak ambil lebih ataupun tidak. Tengok dia punya ayat dia pada aras kecil 0.02, bolehkah kita merumuskan purata kadar meminum air adalah lebih. Lebih means that more than. So when you say more than, your your alternative hypothesis will be the more than the required standard lah. Standard is 21 kan, more than 21. So our collections of data, remaining the X bar here indicate 22. So minus that, you got 1.79. So 1.79, you need to very careful whether it is fall within our rejection region or not. So how you want to identify the rejection region? Of course, you know that the 0.02 is our critical areas kan? Critical areas on the right side of the data. So on the right side of the data, 0.02, so you got the 0.5, you minus the 0.02, you got the Z values. Use the similar approach from the previous tutorial kan? So you got the 2.05. So the 2.05 is actually your critical area ataupun your critical values. So based on our calculated values is 1.79. So it is not fall under our critical areas lah. Sebab our critical areas will be on the 2.05. Yang kita dapat is 1.79. So we fail to reject our null hypothesis, and therefore we need to conclude that there is no significant difference. There is no significant difference between the collected data, which is the 22 gallon of water, blah blah blah, and with the standards that suggested by the national standards. No different. Even though in the naked eye or in the superficial manner, we see that we are collecting something which is higher than national standard. National standard suggests 21, but we collect 22. Oh, this is good. This is higher than the standard. No. It is higher relatively, but not statistically. Statistically, it shows no difference with the standard. Why? Because we conclude it using the Z test. Okay? Faham kan? If you don't understand, never mind. You can just click there, below button there. You got the translation. You need to translate lah accordingly. Okay? You go to the system website and then you translate my words. I don't know whether the translation are successfully done or not. Good lah. Okay? So the next one will be the syarikat tayar. Syarikat tayar is actually tayar company. Tayar company make something called gold tire. Gold tire estimated that you can use this tire and then you can travel around 65,000 kilometers. Wow, it's so huge. From here to Thailand, take around 65 times, you know. From JB to Thailand, 65 times. So it's kind of, this is batu, yeah, correct. So it's a very good tire. But unfortunately, one company, which is the Ikrar company, are trying to establish their own research. So they are buying these 52 tires and then put in their trucks, and then they find out that it is not reached the 65 miles that estimated by the company. So we want to understand whether this one is less than, is equal or not equal. So therefore, you akan nampak dekat sini is not equal, right? Why you say not equal? Because it's not sure. You see, adakah syarikat ikrar mengalami perbezaan dari dakwaan? It is unsure statement whether it's more than or less than. We do not sure. So how you want to make sure this thing? Of course, you need to run the statistical analysis. So based on this statistical analysis, we find out that the level is minus 4.59. So remember to use the 0.03 as your indications to divide it by 2, because this is the non-directional hypothesis, right? On the left and the right side of it. And then based on that, you know the critical areas, and then you know the critical value of the Z's. So you can compare with the critical value of the Z lah. So of course, based on this, you got the critical value of the Z is 2.17. So based on our calculated version is 4.59, which is far beyond the area under curve based on the estimated critical areas. So we need to make judgments of rejecting the null hypothesis, and therefore we are saying that there is a significant difference. There is a significant statistically difference of the capabilities of the tires based on what you suggest and what we are trying to establish, which is we got something which is bad lah, because you said that it is 65, but we got it 61. So another 3,500 who are going to pay. That one is a 3 times trip, you know, from here to, from the Johor to the Thailand, and then they will stuck somewhere in the middle because another 5,000 mile. You know, 3 times go there, go back, going there, going back, and then suddenly stuck at the KL, and then they buy a new one. So it's going to make a headache. So that's why you need to use this hypothesis testing so that you can estimate accordingly. Okay, we run through into the next one, into the next one. Okay, the next one will be the t-test, but the t-test I'm going to produce after finishing this.